in good standing.
Oh, that humor.
Grown.
All right, now we're recording. Thank you for being patient, everyone, and welcome to Advanced Toastmasters Online. Here are some online meeting tips. Use your headset or earbuds if you're hearing some feedback. Please mute your mic when you're not speaking. That's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You can also toggle your video on and off if you leave your seat, but we want to see you, so keep it on. If you'd like to adjust your view, what you're seeing here on the screen is called the gallery view. And if you only want to see the active speaker, click on where it says speaker view. And you can toggle that back and forth from your end. If you have questions and notes for the speaker, please add those in the chat box there. Do that in between speeches, please. Or if you have a message you'd like to send to someone privately, you can just click their name on that and do that at any time, except for a speaker when they're speaking. This meeting will be recorded. It's our policy that by participating in our meeting, you agree that a recording will be made available publicly on our YouTube channel and on our website. If you're interested in joining our club, please go to ato.toastmost.org and start where it says become a member. Click on that button and you'll see information about applying to be a member of our club and fees. And you'll also see that we require you to have a CC or above or 2 levels within Pathways. And at this time, I'd like to say, welcome to Advanced Toastmasters Online. And I am your Toastmaster of the day. So I'm going to hand it over to me as I read the mission of our club. We are an advanced Toastmasters club which supports maverick leaders in creating greater impact by providing advanced feedback on online presentation and leadership skills and discovering what it means to be out-of-the-box innovative leaders. And at this time, I would like to welcome everyone. Yay! Welcome, welcome. And our meeting today is, we have a kind of a packed meeting, so we'll get right to it. Our timer of the day is Doug. And Doug, could you explain what you'll be doing as our timer of the day?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As timer of the day, I'm keeping track of the times for the speeches, evaluations, and the table topics. Both our speeches look to be 5 to 7 minutes, so I will be showing the green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6, and the red light at 7. And for the evaluations, they're 2 to 3 minutes, so green at 2, yellow 2.5, red at 3. And for table topics, green 1 minute, yellow 1.5, red at 2 minutes. I will be giving a report of the times at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. And as far as the grammarian goes, I have a word of the day that I'm just going to pull out of my hat. And that word of the day is going to be remarkable, as in it is memorable, remarkable, or something that makes a mark on you once you hear it or see it. So the word is remarkable. And I also made up that definition in case you're curious. And our first speaker of the day is going to be Tricia Grow. And Tricia will be speaking from the Innovative Planning Manual, or Level 3, Increasing Knowledge, Understanding Vocal Variety. Her title today is Living Life Backwards. Tricia will be sharing a story about her birth and her life. Please help me welcome Tricia Grow as she gives a speech on living life backwards. Please help me welcome Tricia.
Do you dread taking home a friend to your house, especially when you're dating? I know I do, because it's inevitable. Out come the photo albums. The ones where you're just a little baby and they hear all the embarrassing baby stories. like the time you fell asleep in a box or other such things. And of course, most of these pictures are of you naked as a baby. This person that you're just starting to date is to see you completely naked. It's terrible. But to add insult to injury, my parents will tell the story of my birth. Picture it. It's October 6th, 1971. And my father, David, is sitting watching baseball. It's the World Series, which is the ultimate period of time in baseball. It's like their Super Bowl. And my mother, Patricia, comes into the room. David, it's time. It's not time yet. Let me finish watching the game. A few minutes later, Pat comes back in the room. David, I have to get to the hospital. Finally, he relents and takes her to the hospital. And after many hours, I was born. But I have to be a little different. I came out backwards. Yes, I was a breech baby. I wasn't ready to come out yet, but I came out nonetheless backwards. And I started tending to live my life like that for some time afterwards. You see, I grew up a little bit. I went to kindergarten, just like most American kids. And at the end of that year, my teacher talked to my parents and said, I just can't see sending her ahead to first grade. She's too shy. She's too quiet. So she held me back. I repeated kindergarten. I failed kindergarten, people. It was a sad state of affairs. But eventually, I did go to the first grade after that. But I struggled all through school. I just couldn't seem to grasp things as well as my friends. Even though I studied hard and I read and I followed the teacher's instructions, but I just didn't do so well. And then finally, in 5th grade, which I also had to repeat, I finally did some testing and discovered that I was dyslexic. If you're not sure what dyslexic is, it is a part of a learning disability that you tend to see things backwards. Numbers, letters, for example, you might see cat as C-A-T, but I saw cat as T-A-C. And see, this was where my entire learning problem stemmed from. It's because I saw things backwards and they didn't make sense to me like they did other people. But once they discovered this, I received some additional training and learning how to study differently. I was able not only to finish high school, but even went to college and was able to complete 3 years of college because I was receiving this training. I received knowledge that helped me turn my life around, and I was no longer living life backwards. So you might not have been born backwards. You might not have a learning disability, but I believe that you have something in your life that you struggle with. There's an idea or a hobby or an interest that you have, but you're not very good at it yet. I say try to go at it a different way. Try it with a friend who already does that skill and ask for help. If I had known that I had a problem and had asked for help before I reached 5th grade, how much easier my life would have been. So don't be like me. Don't live your life backwards. Turn it around and face life forward.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you very much. Our next speaker today is Rick Weiner. And Rick is speaking from the Competent Communication Manual, project number 3, Get to the Point. His title of his speech today is Catherine Tanya Madison. And today, Rick has been asked to officiate at a funeral of a woman he has never met. He's grabbing some information about her. He has created a service for her that he would like to share with us today. Rick has been asked to help the service, or to keep the service very short, 5 to 6 minutes, just like Toastmasters. Therefore, he'd like to share it and practice it here. So at this time, please help me welcome Rabbi Richard Weiner, as he presents Catherine Tanya Madison. Please help me welcome Rabbi Richard Weiner.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Welcome, friends. We are assembled with our family and friends in the shadow that has fallen their home. We raise our voices together in prayer to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our home. To whom shall we look, if not the creator of light? We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. Where shall we find them, if not in the thought of the one who preserves all that is good from destruction? All things pass. All that lives must die. All that we prize is but lent to us, and the time comes when we must surrender it. We are travelers on the same road that leads to the same end. As in the world around us, so too in human life, darkness is followed by light, and sorrow by consolation. Life and death are twins. Grief and hope walk hand in hand. Although we cannot know what lies beyond the body's death, we put our trust in the underlying spirit that calls us into life and abides to all eternity. Eternal God of the spirits of all flesh, you are close to the hearts of the sorrowing to strengthen and console them with the warmth of your love and with the assurance that the human spirit is enduring and indestructible. Even as we pray for perfect peace for Catherine, so do we ask you to comfort and courage to the living. May the knowledge of your nearness be our strength. O God, for you are with us at all times, in joy and sorrow, in light and darkness, in life and death. Catherine was an exceptional woman, a woman who maintained strong friendships, some for as many as 60 years. She was focused in her family life, devoted herself to her loved ones. Catherine was a mover and a shaker, identifying historical significance within Southborough, and led to an effort to create a historic district in the town. She was loved so much within the community that a meeting room has been named in recognition of her work for the town. Her name will live on. God, full of compassion, you dwell in the heights and in the depths. Grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to Catherine Tanya Madison, our loved one who has entered eternity. Let her find refuge, for in the shadow of your wings, let her soul be bound up for eternal life. For you, the everlasting God, are her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Baromim, Hamatsemenu Hamanachat Tachat Kenafei Hashina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim, Utohurim Kitsor Baharakia Mitzorim, Et Nishma, Catherine, daughter of Victor and Elizabeth, Shechakala Olama, Began Adan, Ahamadachat, Anaba al Harachamim, Hamitzorah Kinasei Kinafachar Leolamim, Utsor Bitzor Hachaim Et Nishma Adonai, Hu Na'ala, V'nachalai B'shalom Al Nishmid Chava B'noma Amen. This time, if we could all together recite the Kaddish in honor of Catherine, who has passed, and will help her soul be elevated that much closer to God's rim. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalamad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedachol beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yalom alom. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'av v'yitramam v'yitnasei, V'yit hadar v'yit taleh v'yit talal shemei dekudashah b'rifu. Le'elamim kol b'rachata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiram b'yalama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. This concludes Catherine's funeral. May you all be comforted knowing that we are all here supporting you in this time of grieving. May Catherine rest in peace. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rick. And on to our next section of our meeting, which is our table topics. I would like to introduce Tammy as our table topic mistress for the day. So please help me welcome Tammy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will start today with a question for Lori. Lori, my question for you is, what activities make you lose track of time? What activities make you lose track of time?
Good afternoon, fellow ATO Toastmasters. Well, that's an easy one for me. When I'm on my computer, I lose track of time. I need reminders always. I have been known to think about, oh, I have 25 minutes to get something done before a meeting, and then show up 15 minutes late for the meeting because I was so involved in what I was doing, I missed the beginning of the meeting. I've even been late for an ATO meeting, getting engrossed in something that I was doing on the computer. In fact, it doesn't even need to be internet related. It's just when I am on that keyboard, focused on either reading or typing, whatever it is I'm working on. I could be solving a problem that's work related, or I could be typing a recipe. It's not about how important it is. It's just that I'm so focused on what I'm doing with my head down into the whatever I'm typing or working on, I lose track of time. In fact, I was supposed to do something at 10 o'clock last night for a customer, and I forgot about it because I lost track of time. How embarrassing. I had to apologize to the customer. I didn't put it in my calendar, which was a big mistake. And even if I had, I don't think I would have heard the reminder. And he waited for me for a whole hour online, and I feel like I have to set up people. Call me. Next time, call my cell. Remind me. Hey, Lori, knock, knock. Show up, please. We're waiting for you. So embarrassing, because actually, I am a person who used to be chronically late in the early first 25 years of my life. And then I learned how to be prompt, very prompt and on time. While I can be prompt, my problem is spacing out and losing track of time. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Lori. My next question will be for Erin. Erin, what can you do today that you were not capable of a year ago? Again, what can you do today that you were not capable of doing a year ago?
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, it's a very deep, reflective question when this pops up in my mind. What can I do right now that I don't do a year ago? First of all, I learned empathy. Last year, I was mainly being, or I was saying, attacked, framed, or filled with anger, frustrations of things that I could have done way better. Now I learn to be positive when there is things that's falling behind or dropping low. There is always a reason. Yes, there might be people who's out there to get you, but if you're not going to change yourself, no one can. You have to maintain a very positive attitude, smile and face it. Embrace it, because in the end, everyone will end up somewhere. Where I say somewhere, meaning that they may not even cross your paths again. You are the control or destiny of your own life. If I spend too much time on really thinking about looping in frustrations, there is no hope for me. At least I can still spend my time doing pathway speeches every day, comparatively before. But the thing is really to appreciate that you are breathing, that I forgot about this simple fact. I was breathing in frustrations. I was breathing in all these grievances because of my occupation. I got stuck with my occupation of what I do. I'm usually the person who stands on the rights and wrongs, the black and white. There's no gray area. Maybe there's a gray area somewhere that we decide on, but I was more stuck on black and white. Now it's a time for the gray zones, and also to appreciate that there's no absolute answer to everything. It's only about you yourself, that you decide where you go. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, one simple fact: move on with your life that you are still in control of, instead of being controlled by others' unnecessary stuff. Back to you.
Thank you, Erin. My next question will be for Doug. If you can time, or if somebody wants to time Doug. Your question, Doug, what life lesson did you learn the hard way? Again, what life lesson did you learn the hard way?
These are challenging questions. What life lesson did I learn the hard way? There are plenty of things that are hard. Although when I was in school, things weren't so backwards for me as Trisha expressed. I got great grades. I was the top of my class, and things were pretty easy. But eventually, so I kind of grew up going, hey, I can do whatever I want. I can, things come easy for me. There's always a time in everyone's life when things aren't so easy. And when things get hard, then you got to buckle down and you got to work. And, well, that took a long time for me to really get a clue on that one. And it's a painful lesson. So it became particularly difficult when I was trying to find a job after I had graduated, because, there's that old saying, you go to school, you get good grades, you get a great job. Well, I just kind of spent most of my life in the early years repeating the first two. I'd go to school, I'd get good grades, I'd go back to school, I'd get good grades, I'd go back to school, and get another degree. Eventually, you have to get out there in the real world. And what I found in the real world is that by the time I was looking for a job, I was overeducated, underexperienced, and human resources was a lot less interested than I'd hoped they would be. So I really had to learn how to rewrite my resume and present myself in a way that made things more interesting, but also just understand and cope with the challenges of being ignored for a long time. But you get over that and you learn. Back to you.
Thank you, Doug. My next question will be for Dawn. Dawn, as a newly crowned DTM, what advice would you give to someone that is new to Toastmasters as to why they should want to achieve their DTM? So what advice would you give a new Toastmaster?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for this question, because I will tell you, I don't know that this would be something I would throw on a new Toastmaster that you can do if you worked so hard and you wait 12 years. Eventually, you could become a Toastmaster or a distinguished Toastmaster, because that's exactly how long it's taken me to get my distinguished Toastmaster. I started on my road in 2007, and because I had really great mentors and people who could see that vision before I even knew what the requirements were, they put me in positions where I could be a club coach, be a club mentor, where they just put me into positions where I was coaching and sponsoring new members. So all of those things that are really hard, I had no clue that I was even achieving them for any reason. So when I think about Toastmasters and what would I say to a Toastmaster who might eventually want to get their Distinguished Toastmaster Award, I think I'd suggest get a great mentor, hook up with people who know what they're doing and who can just plug you into the right places. And before you know it, one day you'll have your DTM and you won't even have put that much effort into it. So thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you and congratulations. Madam Toastmaster, do we have time for two more, or do you want to have the floor back?
Can you do one more?
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Tricia, what gets you excited about life? What gets you excited about life?
What gets me excited about life? Well, I think just about everything gets me excited about life. I'm lucky to be alive. I'm blessed to be here at all, really. So any experience is good. I love my husband and my dogs. I love reading. I love Toastmasters. And I love helping others. And I get to do that so many ways because of Toastmasters. And I see where I've made a difference. And that is exciting to me. I was just told the other day that I'm a teacher, which was my dream when I was a little girl, is I always wanted to be a teacher. And now I feel like I am one, even though I don't have a teaching degree per se. I feel excited anytime I get to meet someone new and share with them my story and how I've changed completely in a year and a half from being the shy, quiet young lady sitting in the back row to being up front, being able to speak to people as a group or even just on one-on-one. And it's amazing transformation, and I'm excited to share that with others.
Thank you, Tricia. Thanks everyone for participating in Table Topics today. With that, I will turn it back over to our our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tammy. And at this point, we are going to move on to our general evaluation portion of the meeting, which will be led by Doug Thiessen. And Doug will lead the general evaluation and call on our evaluators for today. So please help me welcome Doug Thiessen.
Thank you again, Madam Toastmaster. We had 2 speeches today, so we will have 2 evaluation sessions. I would ask the evaluators to also move forward with the round robin and lead those once you're done with your spoken evaluation. Our first evaluator to evaluate Tricia's speech is Lori Whitmore. Please welcome Lori.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. It's my privilege to be evaluating Tricia's remarkable speech. Her speech was a project on increasing knowledge, and the objective for her speech was to deliver a well-organized speech that is a story or includes a story. Tricia excels in storytelling and using dialogue in her story as well. I thought she delivered a really inspiring speech, sharing and being vulnerable with us, and it was very well organized. Something that I noticed Tricia might want to work on, she was doing something a little different with the video today, intentionally stepping back. I'm not sure what she was trying to accomplish by doing so. I found that the image of her standing was so far away from the camera, it was difficult to hear everything she said. Normally, she speaks so clearly and everything is understood easily, and I found it more difficult to hear everything accurately. Even the example with the CAT, cat, a little bit got lost on me because I couldn't hear her so well. And she was so far away that I couldn't see her eyes to pay attention to her eye contact. Also, considering that she had the whole sort of stage available by standing, I thought that her gestures were small. And I understand that Tricia was trying to accomplish something. I think maybe that halfway point of not necessarily sitting in a chair but being closer to the camera might work better next time. So she might want to challenge herself by perhaps recording her speech in terms, not in terms of the content. The content of the story was excellent, but maybe recording so that she can see the image that will be portrayed in the video to experience what the audience will see. Overall, I found her story so interesting really, especially her title grabbed me, and living life backwards. And I'm so glad that Trisha was, despite being a breech birth and perhaps having a learning disability, I am so happy that Trisha is here with us in the world and excelling in Toastmasters, living the remarkable life and the remarkable woman that she is. Back to you, Mr. GE. Oh yeah, round robin.
Right.
Anyone else have some feedback for Trisha? How about things that Trisha did well first? Dawn?
Trisha, I always appreciate the way Trisha brings about a story and shares the story with the dialogue. I find that to be one of her greatest gifts and assets. I also really enjoyed the fact that you did stand up, even though it kind of was hard to hear. I liked seeing that perspective, and I liked seeing you kind of comfortable standing up and presenting. So that was good. And I think that we have a place here that we can keep on improving that for ourselves, because I think it works really well for Trisha, and I'd like to continue. I'd like to try that as well. So back to you, Lori.
Anyone else? Doug?
I really enjoyed the speech, the story. I really appreciated, as you got into details, how apt the title was for the speech. That was actually rather remarkable. I like that you had stepped back from the camera, although I do definitely have to agree with Lori that the audio was more hollow and harder to hear. I also found, though, that it was good you had more of your body visible. Although I think that there was a lot of space around you that could have been made better use of, to show most of your body, but not have a lot above your head as well. So I think, working on where you stand in front of the camera, what distance, could definitely help that aspect. Back to you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Doug. Rick?
I really enjoyed listening to Trisha's speech. I also was a breech birth. And, it's kind of like, a little bit different, but I loved her standing. I loved her her pacing, her pace throughout the speech. I personally I'm hard of hearing, and I didn't have any problem listening and hearing everything she had to say. So overall, I would say that it was extremely well done. I do agree with Doug. Practice how close you stand to the camera, where that is. Outside of that, I think it was an excellent speech. Good job, Trisha.
Thank you, Rick. And any other further comments? Anything related to suggestions for improvement?
I think I'm the last one, isn't it? So the situation is very simple, because I've seen Trisha's giving this speech today. And that was an improvement point, so I keep it short and sweet because of the red light. As I mentioned before in my comment session, I would love to see Trisha's props. In showing examples, she usually is the picture of visualization. So she shows everything, she demonstrates with authenticity, she is a great storyteller. I want to see that props add to her illustrations, like the CAT. Just show a board of words, capitalize CAT, and then reverse it. Show us how the visualization works. If that prop actually puts in, it will further accelerate or highlight your examples to make sure that it's relevant to your speech. So that's my only suggestion.
Thank you, Aaron. That's an excellent suggestion. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lori, and everyone for giving some feedback for Trisha. Now we move to Aaron, I believe, is going to be giving the feedback for Rabbi Richard's speech. So please welcome Aaron.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be evaluating Richard's speech in a very serious tone because that speech is really mainly for funeral. Objective of the speech is mainly about get to the point. So has to be a very clear, specific, general purpose. So general and specific has to be in line with it, and to inform, persuade, or entertain a specific audience. So that speech obviously is for funeral, and he is actually dressed up for the occasion. He's serious and also highlights the different vocal varieties to exemplify the elements within his speech. That's a great job. Give a round of applause to Richard for that. I love the part whereby he sings to his heart's content. He is really devoted into dedicating to this person who has passed away. As a spokesperson, he can control how the audience thinks, and he demonstrated an excellent spokesperson qualities. Now, as a DTM, I would love to challenge Richard on a few points. Whether you have fulfilled your requested points, meaning that you kept everything in control within the 6 or 7 minutes, you have done a good job. That is actually gotten within the play. So keep it up. Now, the challenge point for Richard is that as a spokesperson for on a funeral, I would love as an audience if I really know this person, this Catherine Tanner Madsen. I would love to sink in the reflections or emotions as you speak. So I noticed that Richard actually talk in a pace whereby it's quite speed up. So I would love to have Richard slow down and pause at the right moment. It's like rehearsing a speech, but I would love to give some pause, give some spaces whereby the audience can really feel along with what your every words mean. That will be my first challenge. Because if we speak too fast, it's just like a normal message. The audience may not get the whole meaning. Unless they're just there for show. But I don't think that is the reason for that. The second thing I would like to challenge Richard is that I would love him to look at the camera, just like viewing the audience in their eyes, because I noticed maybe somewhere in front of the table there is a script. So because it's a very serious speech, I want you to connect with us in the eyes, because that will shows us how much you mean to this individual, although you may not know, but as your role, you need to mean something to that specific person. So when you look at the camera, tell us the story, or sing with the camera, we are being there and connected with you. So that will be the second challenge. Because a speech is as great if there's connections. And a funeral speech is also a form of connection. So those are the two challenges I would love to give to Richard. I'll do the role of round robin and ask for everyone's feedbacks on Richard's speech. I'll go for Laurie first.
I don't recall hearing Rick do a funeral, and I appreciated a lot of the text that he prepared. One thing I did notice that I want to put out for Rick, point out in terms of his pace, I found that when he was reading about Catherine, he was more likely to trip up on some words. So there is no hurry, and I agree with Aaron to slow down and then be able to read more accurately what is being shared. I also would have liked, in terms of the balance of the total 5 minutes or so of the eulogy, I would have liked to hear maybe 1 more minute about Catherine and a little bit less on all that religious text in the beginning. But I don't know how much of it is required, but I found that it just seemed not meaty enough about Catherine. And I know they're limiting how much time Rick has, but I would have liked to hear a little bit more. But overall, I thought that his tone was very solemn, respectful, and his voice was very appropriate for a eulogy. Back to you, Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll pass to Dawn first.
Sorry, did you say Don or Doug?
Doug, my bad.
Okay.
Pronunciation error. Apologies.
Rick, I think that you did a great job. As the timer, I want to actually focus a little bit on the timing of things since I could look at the time marks. Your overall was 6 minutes 19. So you wanted to be within 6. I guess you missed that a little bit. The Kaddish started pretty much exactly at the 5-minute mark, just in case you wanted to know that part. You did almost 2.5 minutes in the general introduction before you really spoke at all on Catherine, and then you spoke for about a minute, I think maybe a minute 15 on Catherine herself before moving back into kind of more religious texts in the 23rd Psalm. So I kind of agree with Lori that there could have been a bit more meat with regard to the person who had just died, Catherine, as opposed to the more general text. But overall, I certainly thought it was a good one.
Dawn?
Thank you, Aaron. I agree with everyone's assessment of Rick's funeral eulogy or service here. I appreciate the fact that his voice was very soothing. I felt it was soothing. And yet at the same time, kind of in a good energy space. One of the things, and I loved all of the pieces at the very beginning, Source of Life or Source of Light, Travelers on the Same Road. I love that. I kind of feel like you could probably cut some of that down if you wanted to cut something down, because there were so many really beautiful, powerful things that you might just use one of them or 2 of them if you're looking to things to remove. I felt that they were beautiful and did have, there was so much, it felt like you could use those for several different funerals. So something to consider. The other thing is, when I was thinking about how to, give a point that may or may not help, is to help you connect with her and connect with this audience that you're speaking to. I was feeling, just for myself, feeling that there's a reason why you're there, and you may feel like an outsider, as in you might not have known her, but I believe in divine intervention. You were brought there for her, and she's, this is just my point of view, but there's a connection that was made and that you are connected. So kind of maybe take that in as a part of your energy when you're sharing that you do know her, that you have this connection and you're helping with that process. So not sure if that'll help, but I think for me, it felt like something that may or may not be of help. So back to you, Aaron.
Thank you very much. I'll pass the stage back to our general evaluator due to the time constraints.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you everyone for the feedback to Rick on that. I'd now like to call upon the timer, that would be me, to give a timer's report. Patricia's speech was 5 minutes 47 seconds. Rick, as I was saying, you're 6 minutes 19 in total. Our evaluators, Lori evaluated for 3 minutes and 5 seconds, and we had 3:27 for the round robin. And then Aaron's evaluation was 3 minutes 16 seconds, and we actually went over 5 minutes for the round robin. So I think as a group, we need to watch out for that. Table topics. Lori was 2 minutes 14, Aaron 2:15, myself 2:22, Dawn was 1:44, and Tricia was 1 minute 21 seconds. That concludes my timer's report. Not terribly remarkable. Now, we had Dawn step in to do a bit of the grammarian counter, or at least word of the day, so I'll ask for her report, please.
I only heard Rick and Lori use the word remarkable, or maybe Aaron too. I'm not sure, but those were my notes that I made for the use of the word remarkable.
And Doug snuck it in.
Who did?
Doug snuck it in when he said, that's my timer report, maybe not remarkable.
Actually, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you, Lori, because I guess it wasn't very remarkable. Now for a general evaluation report. I admit, though, doubling up as timer, I wasn't necessarily paying as much abject attention to each speaker as I could have. But our Toastmaster, Dawn, we did start the meeting a little bit off of our 11:55 mark because of some technical difficulties. But Dawn, and thank you, Aaron, for your help, got that solved pretty readily. That was nicely done. And certainly Dawn did a great job in moving the meeting forward and, you know, doing the introductions. Oh, sorry, I was just seeing in the chat, Rick had to leave, so bye, Rick. Tammy was really, she was good as our table topics master. I liked the very introspective questions. Again, we get to learn a lot more about ourselves and each other this way, so nicely done. And I wasn't as focused when it came to the evaluators, so I don't have much to say there. One comment I could make for Tricia, though, is the lighting for your position now seated. I think you have a very bright light in front of you because your color is entirely washed out of your face. And if you could set that light back further, or if it could be less bright, it would bring out your face better. As it stands, you might notice in your own thumbnail, you look very, very white. Pretty ghostly, actually, so something to watch out for there. And with that, I will return the meeting back to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Doug. And
Sunlight.
I will take some of that sunlight from Trisha's face and bring it in here, since I said it was raining over here all day today. So yay. And I appreciate another great meeting. And I just want to make sure before we go into the next portion of the after meeting and the agenda is that Tricia, you're sending Lori her evaluation of the evaluation privately, so that doesn't need to be done orally. Just want to make sure. Okay, great. And I'm going to stop the recording of our meeting and say thank you for a great meeting. I'm going to put my gavel down. Thank you very much.